the ultimate goal is to win the World Series. I don't know if they can do it this year. I don't think they're good enough. They've become infinitely more interesting. They're fun. They've got a great player. They've got a lot of young guys that are showing some promise right now. I feel really optimistic today. But again, you're coming off the heels of a sweep, and so I think a lot of Giants fans are picking their ego up off the ground.
What letter grade would you give this team in the first half?
I think it's unequivocally an A, because I got to look at the franchise as a whole, right? Like a franchise as a whole, you have an everyday shortstop, third baseman, and you made one of the best trades that you've made in decades to get yourself the big star that you've lacked in the middle of the lineup for how long? At minimum a decade?
A decade, yeah.
Right? And so you're 7 games above 500 right now. You've far exceeded my expectations, and you've been a great watch on a nightly basis. I think it's an A. That doesn't mean that they're going to win the World Series, and that doesn't mean that I'm not going to get let down if they don't make the playoffs. You're just asking me where I'm at right now. I don't think I could have seen any other scenario, given all the weird stuff that happens in baseball, for them not to get an A.
I'm going to give them right now a B+. And I just said, the MVP for you and for Giants people could be Buster Posey. But having said that, and I take a step back and I try to be objective about this, let's look at some of the biggest signings Buster Posey has had, right? Matt Chapman, who's been pretty solid. He's been hurt right now. He's kind of gotten an incomplete on the season thus far. Willie Adames, I think you can say he's struggled. That's an understatement. He's struggled for the most part this season, living up to that $182 million contract. Justin Verlander, another guy.
Yeah.
Has struggled. And Rafi Devers, who's, again, it's only been a couple weeks, so I'm not going to be too hard on the guy, and he had a good game yesterday. But it's been an adventure, to say the least, with Rafi Devers there. So of those 4 major acquisitions, you could kind of say they might be over there. Now, you're projecting with Rafi that he's going to be that dude, and he's going to be a baller the rest of his Giants tenure, however long that is. So we shall see. And I do think, and we talked about this, my whole take was the other week, that this season in totality can be viewed as a success because of how the franchise is now viewed from the outside perspective. There's a respectability factor back with the San Francisco Giants because of these big moves, because they're spending all this money, because they're putting their money where their mouth is. So in that perspective, yeah, I hear you with Buster. But also I got to take a look at the major acquisitions that he's done. They haven't really produced at a high level for this team. That being said, they are 44-37. So something's going right. And Elliot Ramos is one of them. He's a baller. Farhan guy, obviously. So Jung Hoo Lee, Farhan guy, he's been up and down.
Casey Schmidt's been great. So,
Randy
Rodriguez might be one of the best relievers in baseball.
Right.
They've, as frustrated as we might be currently with Camilo Doval, step back and look at everything that's going on with just the bullpen as overall. They're one of the best bullpens in baseball.
And Logan
Camilo's a big part of that.
And Logan Webb and Robbie Ray might be the best 2-pitcher combination, top 5 at least in baseball.
And you got rid of Jordan Hicks for Rafi Devers, for crying out loud.
Exactly. And again, we'll wait and see with Rafi Devers what he truly becomes. I think we're all projecting that he's going to be a pretty good player for this team, and we'll see at first base. So that's why I'm going B+ right now, just because the major acquisitions really haven't quite lived up to snuff quite yet, and we'll see. So they're giving him an A. Who's been the MVP for Joe Shasky thus far? Who's been your most valuable Giants person?
I'm going to go Elliot Ramos.
Okay.
I'm going to take Elliot Ramos. I think he has been their consistent top to bottom best player. This team needed an everyday outfielder like we need oxygen, and he has been unbelievably clutch for this team. He's been an adventure defensively. Made some really nice plays, made some awful plays. I think overall he is your team MVP. You can make an argument for others. I will listen to, Webb. I'll listen to Randy Rodriguez. I will listen to Robbie Ray even, quite frankly. Wilmer Flores, I think, has his name in the hat. But I'm going to go Elliot Ramos.
I'm not mad at that. I'm probably going to go Logan Webb for me. I know Robbie Ray's right up there, but Logan, he's just the model of consistency for this team. He really is. Unsung hero, time in and time out. He's going to be leading the National League in innings pitched again, I would assume, because he's just that guy. Goes about his business, just a consummate professional. So if you go Ramos, I'll go Logan Webb. But I'm not mad at that. And it does suck because I do hope Ramos gets to be that all-star because he's just been so consistent for this team. But again, it just speaks to the National League being so damn deep. As I'm pulling it up again, the outfielders that are there. Pete Crow Armstrong's having a hell of a season with the Cubs.
Might be the MVP of the National League.
Exactly. Teoscar Hernandez, he's a baller. Kyle Tucker's of the world. Well, the Cubs got two of the best outfielders in the game with Kyle Tucker and him. I feel like they got Kyle Tucker for nothing from the Astros too. Man.
Well, the third baseman prospect they got they gave to Houston's going to be good.
We'll see. Again, I felt like that's a guy you probably should keep. That's neither here nor there. Ronald Acuna, the Juan Sotos, the Corbin Carroll who's hurt now. There's just so many Dodgers. Andy Pajes is up there. Fernando Tatis, James Wood, Brandon Nimmo, Nick Castillo. The list goes on. And then you finally get to the 19th in the outfielder voting in the National League. Elliot Ramos was 243,205 votes. But maybe he'll be a reserve. We'll see, right? Who would be the Giants' all-star right now for you if it's not Elliot Ramos? Who do you think deserves to be in there the most if it's not going to be Ramos?
Randy Rodriguez.
God, that would feel Randy'd be great.
He's been a weapon.
No. I'm not saying for Randy, but the bullpen guy, the token bullpen guy feels like for a team that's like the A's, right? Or a team that's like the Marlins. Those teams get that. The Giants are they're right there in the National League wildcard chase. And they're going to get the token bullpen guy? That doesn't sit right with me. I don't know. You think I have a gripe there?
No, I mean, look, not everyone could be an all-star. Part of being an all-star is there's an exclusivity, and so I think he's been an all-star. I do. I really do. And then you also have to remember that there's going to be some manager decisions because, the manager gets to pick some of the back-end guys. And there are a lot of great outfielders right now. There just are. And guys like Fernando Tatis Jr. are always going to get the popular vote. And a guy like Ramos is going to be, on the under-the-radar types. It's just, that's baseball. Wilmer, is Wilmer going to make it? I don't think so.
No, he's definitely not. Yeah, Wilmer Flores is not an all-star.
I think Logan Webb has probably got an argument. I think Robbie Ray's got an argument. It's going to end up being one of the pitchers. And here's the thing, Joe. You're going to say, bullpen guy. You have to reward the best bullpen in baseball.
No, I'm
literally
here.
A half a run better than anyone else in terms of ERA.
Absolutely. And I hear that. I just feel some type of way when I watch a team like this and the vibes, and maybe just because they're playing poorly right now. But the last couple of weeks we were talking about, man, maybe this team could have a couple of all-stars. They might only have one, which kind of sucks. But again, Logan Webb might be that guy.
They'll get two.
You think they'll get two?
I think they'll get two pitchers.
You think they'll get Webb and Rodriguez?
Yeah, and then maybe if some guys get hurt or bow out, maybe Ramos gets in there.
Okay, fair enough.
I mean, they might have got lucky with Ramos being selected an all-star last year. So I do think these things kind of even out.
Speaking of, the hitting, and we had Dave Fleming on yesterday, and there was a lot to be made, Joe, about the ballpark this season. We're talking letter grades first half of the season for the Giants. 7 games over 500. Are they meeting your expectations up to this point, Giants fans? Or were you expecting more since the Rafi Devers, since the Willie Adames signings, all of that? My grade is a B+. Shasky's giving them an A. What grade are you giving them?
And is anybody hitting the panic button after facing the Marlins? Because I got a lot of buddies that are pretty ticked off.
I'd be hitting the panic button if they lose the series. If they lose to the White Sox, and I am hitting the panic button.
2 or 3 or all 3?
If they get swept or just lose a series against this team.
They get swept, we've got serious problems.
You can't lose the series to this White Sox. They're off, Joe. They suck.
I know, but
Can you name 5 White Sox?
No.
Thank you. That's what I'm saying here. And you couldn't even name 5 Marlins heading into the series. That's what I'm trying to say here. It's not good. These aren't good teams. You can't be losing. I can't take you seriously if you're losing back-to-back series against the Marlins and the White Sox. And I know you're going to say that's baseball sometimes, but no, it's not. That's not happening to the Dodgers. It's not. When they're losing all their starting pitching, they're still going to Coors Field and sweeping the Rockies. They're still doing that. You need to be doing it. You need to go. If I want to take you seriously.
When do we play the Rockies again?
That's a great question.
The Giants lost to the Rockies too.
What?
Hold on.
What'd you say?
So the Giants were taking L's to the Rockies too.
I think going on the road is going to be something that's really big for this team right now. They need to be galvanized. They need to come together, whether it's a dinner, an outing, just, all the boys go out and have some fun. I think there's something about going on the road right now that might be just what the doctor ordered.
Well, hopefully, because, a lot's been made about the ballpark, whether it's Devers, and obviously he knocked out of his slump yesterday, Adames.
Who's making a big thing about the ballpark?
Well, but when it comes to the power hitting, when it comes to the guys, there's been people talking about.
Who?
JT Snow was on with us a couple weeks ago and said Adames might be struggling because of the ballpark.
Well, and the pushback is like he hits better at home than he does on the road.
Well, which isn't all that much better. But I hear you on
No, but he
that.
does.
He does. Here's Dave
And then
Fleming.
other teams come into our ballpark and have no problem hitting. I think that we talk about, as a media, we talk about the ballpark because the Giants lineup has been a bunch of slap hitters for a long time. And we make excuses for why they haven't built a legitimate slugging lineup. So I get very passionate about the ballpark, the dimension talk. I think it's stupid.
Okay.
I think it's really stupid. Like, build your team catered around your ballpark. Have more guys that can run the bases and go gap to gap. Like, Rafi Devers is having no problem hitting balls into the 7th row of dead center field. Feels like he's starting to really feel himself. Now, is there a legitimate marine layer conversation about the ball traveling less far in our particular atmosphere? Absolutely. That is real. But I also see other teams come into our ballpark and hit the ball just fine. And so you're never going to be Great American Ballpark. You're never going to be Midwest ball launches out because of the hot weather. Like right now in New York, I believe it's over 100 degrees.
Gross.
Right? It is gross. Right? Like I don't want to be in Sacramento.
Sticky.
And
right
humid,
now.
too.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
That's what
so-
I'm saying. The humidity is the worst part of it. Yeah.
With playing in those ballparks comes other elements that we don't ever address, like pitching, right? Like if you played in Great American Ballpark, there's a reason they've had a difficult time finding elite staffs and elite bullpens. Name an elite closer since the Reds have moved in there. Chapman for a year or two?
Yeah, maybe. Aroldis Chapman. That's the only guy I could think of, like legit closer for the Reds. Maybe I'm whiffing
No,
on
but
it.
like, right? Like the St. Louis Cardinals.
But that speaks to closers in general. I think we've talked about this in baseball. There's like, it's kind of feel like a turning of the tide when it comes to like elite closers. I feel like a decade ago I could name 10 really good to elite closers. Maybe there are this year for some people, but like the Mariano Rivera's, Craig Kimbrel's, the Kenley Jansens of the world, all those guys. Like it feels like the Jim Johnsons for a second. Like I feel like I those guys are. I can't find them anymore. Like I don't know why that is. Maybe there's better. Like the bats have gotten better, and everyone just throws 100 now, and we're just gonna like platoon that position. But I don't know. What were your expectations, Joe, heading into this season?
Be
for the Giants?
relevant and actually try to push for a playoff spot.
Okay, so they're 7 games
Check,
over.
check.
So they're exactly that's
Check,
it.
check.
They're 7 games
They're
over.
actually
500.
ahead of schedule.
They're ahead of schedule for you.
I didn't think they could pull off a monster trade. Like, to me, you said it earlier, I kind of laughed at you about it, but like regarding no matter what happens this year, it's already a victory. And when I look at the first half, smashing success. You hit a grand slam. You got Rafi Devers, and you're good. Like, what more do Giants fans, like, yes, I want to make the playoffs. Of course I do. The ultimate goal is to win the World Series. I don't know if they can do it this year. I don't think they're good enough, right? That's a separate conversation. They've become infinitely more interesting. They're fun. They've got a great player. They've got a lot of young guys that are showing some promise right now. I feel really optimistic today. But again, you're coming off the heels of a sweep, and so I think a lot of Giants fans are picking their ego up off the ground.